Alright then, so before we get started, this is up in Canada. I'm Dominic Raphael, and changes are coming. Not only in the city, but out in the country as well. I did a video yesterday about the silica sand manufacturing that is hoping to take place sometime this year in the RM of Springfield. There is a referendum out currently, and there's a vote to move forward with it or to not. So make sure all those Patreons and tenants of the RM of Springfield to send in your vote. Now, what I was talking about the other day also was, what if Canada had the capacity to grow its own coffee bean? I am a coffee fanatic. I love it. It is imbuing. It makes you feel good when you have that good cup of coffee and it wakes you up in the morning, and there's so many other attributations to it when you have that cup of coffee, especially all the different flavors and such. But let's say, just by chance, we had our own coffee bean. Do you think that is even possible? Well, you know, nothing is impossible. These almost look like coffee beans, but these are what we call Hawthorne berries. I was talking to a neighbor yesterday, and he had mentioned that some places in the States, they use the hawthorn bushes for a hedge. And the reason they do is because you can't go through it. It is so huge with hawthorns that they can be quite treacherous to animals and people. So what we're going to do today is cut back 2 to 4 feet of this hedge line. There are other trees within this hedge line, and I'm not going to cut them down at this time, but for the most part the hawthorns have got to go. But you know what? I thought maybe hawthorn berries can be made into a special drink or something unique to Canada. Unless, of course, hawthorns grow across the world. They are an ancient tree that I believe in, and they probably date back millions of years. And the thorns on them are treacherous, as you can see. But what about maybe if they were some type of a medication for some type of a disease, or maybe it was a purification to the biological ecosystem in the areas that they exist? Well, everything's a big question mark. So I guess we're just going to have to keep on asking questions. Now, the technique I'm using today is something I've used in the past. It is to use a ripsaw to cut through these trunks of these hawthorn bushes. These hawthorn bushes are a very, very dense hardwood, and as long as it doesn't fall on top of you when you cut it down, you're okay. But on occasion you do get scratched up by them. But let's try not to do that this time. Okay, so as I said, 2 to 4 feet of the hedge is going to be cut back towards the road. So to give you a perspective on what exactly is going on, this area here had some hawthorns in it at one time. Not as many, but a few. We've since managed this property to give it a rather serene look. And recently, the yellow willow. Now, the yellow willow is a hardy tree. It can be very messy if you don't trim it back and keep up with its maintenance. But they can last for many years to come. So there you have the hawthorn bushes and that line from where I'm standing on the north side to the south side. So where these willows grow, we're going to cut back to the deer wood and the 9-bark. Because the young trees on the west side, we want to give them a chance to catch and to settle so that they grow and don't die off from the cold wind. So let's get to work. It's just shortly after 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It is a beautiful fall day. As you can see, there are some trees that are already starting to change leaves, and others, more crops, still need to come off. Interestingly, there are no turning yellow leaves on this side of this managing property. Rather interesting. But I'm sure soon enough they will. So let's get to it. It is August 30th, 1 o'clock, and the year is 2023. I'm Dominic Raphael. This is Up in Canada. Cheers. Just to add a few more points on this property. Just last year and the previous year before that, the Unlimited Undergrounds company, which is, I guess, an offshoot of Bell Canada, decided that they were going to start installing fiber optic cables. Now, I was baffled as to why they would be putting in fiber optic cables when everything has gone satellite. Starlink, for example. Why would you want to put underground cable or fiber optics if you have satellite? It just doesn't make sense. But there was a real push and a rush in the RM of Springfield to get this done, and it has been ongoing for the last 3 years or so. The reasons behind it, I don't know. Maybe it is product and material that they bought and had invested in many, many years ago when it was Manitoba MTS, or Manitoba Telephone Systems, before Bell Canada took it over. And they had all of this millions of dollars in optic cables and underground tubing and these, I don't know what they call them, units that are about every 100 feet. And the RM of Springfield is the largest municipality in Manitoba, from what I understand. So what is the reason for it? I do not know. I can speculate. I think what my speculation would be here is that we didn't want it, but we didn't have a say in the matter because the municipality and the road services have an easement, and they basically do whatever they want. But you see, this section here was dug up and tore up by equipment, and it was never really put back to the way it was, because it used to look like this. Beautiful, cut and clean. This section here, they actually went from across the creek, they went underground to do the, what they call tunneling, or in this case it would be vertical installment of the hoses and cables right up until here. And then they dug up everything down this way, even over the driveway, which is apparently illegal to cut through driveways. But once once again, the municipality did nothing and has still done nothing to try and compensate us for the damages. We had some trees destroyed, and we had the ditch dug up, and we had a lot of damage done. See, now we have water that lies in this area instead of flowing to the creek, which is over there. But needless to say, today we are going to do a Hawthorne trim back. So once again, I'm Dominic Raphael. This is Up in Canada. Change is coming, whether we want them to or not. Cheers. Also, let's look at these blades. One is a new blade and one is an old blade. The one on the left was used a year and a half ago to cut half of that Hawthorne row. And we went through several blades, but that is the destruction of those hardwoods, is they are relentless at tearing apart your blades compared to what the teeth are supposed to look like. I don't think I'm going to get much to cut out of this blade this year. I will give it a try, but if it doesn't work, I'll need to go to the new one. Anyways, that's what happens when you use rip saws to go through hawthorn trees and their stumps. They're pretty hardwood. So, yeah, let's get to work because we've got a long day ahead of us.